everybody, and welcome to an action-packed episode of the Mumkey and Big Show. Folks, we finally recorded Wheel of Cursed Meals 2. I have a final chapter update on the neighbor saga of getting scammed. We have four movie reviews to go through. So many things to update and talk about. I'm your host of Mumkey Jehoshaphat, joined as always by BIGS Osophat.
Oh yeah, that's on par.
Now, Biggs, after that exciting intro, what did you have for lunch today?
For lunch, what did we have for lunch
Rotisserie chicken.
Oh, yeah,
it was less than an hour ago.
Chicken.
I'm sorry that you ate a shit ton of chicken and then fell asleep on the couch. Fucking lazy ass.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Well, Biggs, we have a potpourri of topics. Where should we begin? Which one are you most interested in tackling right now?
And all the ones brought up, let's talk about the storm.
Oh yeah, that's another one. There was a massive... I was going to include that in the intro. I knew I was forgetting something. Iowa and I guess some neighboring states, according to Reactor, Chicago got hit, but I'm not too sure about that. He seemed not so serious about it. But we got rocked by a massive storm that had our power out. Well, actually, Biggs at his home in Carlisle.
Still out.
The Carlisle power is still out. Here in Ames, the power was out for about 36 hours, finally came back on, and Biggs said, fuck my family. Not in a Donnie Darko sort of laying down on the therapist couch way, but he said, fuck this. You guys can stay here chilling in the dark with all the food in the freezer and fridge going bad. I'm going to fuck off to Mumkey's house. Kind of like how, if you watched our video about which social disorders we have, and Biggs is like, oh, all my other friends other than perfect Mumkey, they only come to me when they need something from me. And then Biggs is like, oh, Mumkey has power? Oh, I'm going to come visit him for the first time in fucking months. Thanks, Biggs.
In months? It was literally a week.
Less than a week. I think it's been like 6 days.
I was due to be at your house anyway. Actually, I was going to be here yesterday.
You were here yesterday, fucker.
2 days ago, but his power was out too, and he was at his parents. I'm like, all right.
I did invite you to come to my parents' house to help me eat all their food.
You did.
Yeah.
I said, boy, I'm sure they would love that.
So, Biggs, how did you survive for 48 hours? And we already talked about how you live like in a basement cave where you covered all the walls in your makeshift room with fucking trash bags and shit. All you had in there was your computer. So when you wake up in the middle of a vicious storm and the power's out, what in the fuck? Like, does this bear hibernate for 48 hours? What the fuck do you do that whole time?
Well, I woke up at about noon, and I have a snap from Mumkey, and he's like, I forgot what it said. Something about the tree branch in your backyard being down.
It's not even a branch. The tree split in fucking half. A tree that's like 20 feet tall, split in half down the middle, and in my neighbor's yard, which is my backyard, is completely covered in half a fucking tree.
So I'm like, oh wow, there must be a storm or something.
Had it not hit Carlisle at that point?
I was in the basement, bro. I didn't know anything was going on until I sat up and I pulled a pull chain on my light and it does not turn on.
Oh no.
I'm like, and
you're just in pitch darkness because you have no windows.
Yes. So then I look over and I notice my fan isn't on because I sleep with a fan on. I go over and I click the power button.
You sleep with your fans, Biggs? What are you? Every celebrity ever born? And you're a fucking idiot if you think it's criticism that celebrities sleep with their fans, Biggs?
Oops.
Oh.
But anyways, so I go over to my computer and I click the power button. It doesn't turn on. I'm like, well, I guess the power's out.
Well, I guess my reason to live is over. No computer.
So I go upstairs and I don't know what I said back to you. Or I was like, oh, that's crazy or something. He's like, leave it to Biggs to sleep through the biggest storm Iowa's had in years or something like that.
Yep.
And I go upstairs and it's literally like a hurricane outside. I'm like, what the hell is going on? My brothers are just sitting in the dark. They're like, the power went out. I'm like, yeah, no shit.
Hey, Biggs, we're all gonna die. We didn't want to wake you, though.
Yeah.
Didn't want to let you know the basement might flood and you might drown with no way of seeing where you are because it's completely dark.
They were probably hoping it would.
Would kill you?
Yeah.
Why? What do your brothers have against you? You ate all the food? Their whole lives? I mean, his brothers are bone thin, so I imagine there's only one person eating in the Biggs household.
It's kind of like the three bears. You know, you got the big one, the medium, and then the small.
And your Goldilocks who came in and ate all the fucking food.
Because Bradley's just right?
I don't think he's that right.
Oh.
I mean, he did wonder what's for dinner in that one video we made that everybody has seen.
Yeah. And what was that?
The person of culture.
Yeah.
The one where you throw me against a locker and stab me with a pencil.
Yeah,
and then you go home to make dinner.
The little screechy child that runs in screaming, Zeke, what's for dinner?
Yeah.
Good times.
You even call him Bradley in that video, so it's not like we're doxing him. That's his fucking name in the video.
Yeah. So yeah, the storm was it was pretty dumb. Like it knocked everything out. Yeah.
Okay.
So everybody was calling our electric company, Mid-American, and they're like, yo, when is this coming back up? And they're like, oh yeah, it should be back up in 3 to 4. Oh, hours? No, days.
And that was really inconvenient of them to have such a long pause mid-sentence. I mean, I can see where you were confused.
3 to 4 days, and we're on, what, day 3 now?
Have you talked to your family today to see if the power's back yet, so I can get you the fuck out of my house?
So we have security cameras at home, and they're hooked up to the internet.
You do?
So
for what?
For outside.
Have you been robbed in fucking small town?
We'll go in a small side story real quick.
Okay. Yeah, we have plenty of time.
So my stepdad, he's like super hardcore about being kind of a prick.
You call him daddy even though he's your stepdad?
No.
You should.
So we're pretty sure our neighbor's dog keeps crapping in our yard. So he gave us like $300 to put up security cameras to catch the dog doing it. So he could put it in a bag and go put it on their doorstep. That's what he said he's going to do.
The neighbor gave you money?
No.
Oh.
Your stepdad.
Well, I was like,
put up cameras.
It sounded like the neighbor gave you money to catch his own dog.
No.
Well.
Only somebody with 0 IQ would think that.
Well, I mean, only somebody with 0 IQ would spend $300 when it's just a little bit of shit in the yard.
Well, he is Polish.
Seems like a pretty easy solution. Just, talk to the neighbor or clean up the shit.
Yeah, no, he's not. He's too thick-skulled for that.
Yeah, clearly.
So anyways, I can check the security cameras, and if they're back
No, he's not Czech. He's Polish.
Yeah. So if I check them, I'll know that
No.
Back up.
If you polish them.
If I polish them?
Yeah, if you polish your knob like it's corn on the cob.
Speaking of Cobb.
What about him?
Hey, Cobb.
Does he listen to this show?
Yeah, he listens to the show.
Cobb, go fuck yourself. Biggs told me what you said about me 5 minutes ago.
I texted him back and told him what you said.
Well, what did he texted you just randomly? Hey, Mumkey's a bitch.
I said, what? He said, what are you doing? I said, chilling with Monk. And he said, tell him he's a bitch. So I did. And you said, what does Cobb know? And then he replies, what does a Cobb know? Do. I don't know.
Why did you just now tell me that? Why didn't you tell me when he texted it to you?
Because it wasn't funny.
I mean, well, nothing Cobb says is going to be funny. So, Biggs, if the power never comes back on, when are you going to start paying rent?
Right now.
Okay.
Unzip.
Biggs is pulling out his wallet. Nope, he's pulling out his dick. Okay.
No.
Wait, your wallet has a zipper on it? Is that what you were going for?
Yeah.
Or do you just have zipper
my
pockets?
wallet actually does have a zipper in it.
Why?
So I don't lose my cash.
Okay.
It's an old man wallet, all right? It is. It really is.
I think you're confusing it with a purse, Biggs. You carry a purse around?
No, it folds in half and it's got a zipper where you put the cash in, that way it doesn't fall out.
Why do women even need a purse if they can just stuff everything in their vagina? There's a lot of room in there if it can fit my dick, you know what I'm saying, brother? Holding up hand for high five, holding up hand for high five. Biggs is not moving a muscle and giving up.
Did you expect anything less?
I did not expect you to move.
So we'll go through your side of the storm and then we'll move on.
I woke up at 10 a.m. to the sound of a storm. I think it was the crashing of the fucking tree splitting in half. And I was like, what in the fuck was that? Of course, all the local news stations said, oh yeah, there's a 20% of rain today, but that's all. Nobody knew this storm was coming. It just fucking appeared out of nowhere. Construction workers were still outside, like, up in the cranes and shit. Just a massive fucking Category 4 hurricane winds tear through the Midwestern town. Where's all this water and wind even fucking coming from? I don't know. Neighborhood is destroyed. Everybody's yard is covered in fucking branches and leaves and trash. And my garbage can, it was garbage day. My garbage can almost blew away.
Hey, at least they would have got rid of the trash.
Yeah, well, that's usually what you're for. Usually when Biggs comes over, he just goes through the trash to see what food I didn't want to eat. Speaking of which...
I would just eat the food that you paid your hard-earned money for.
Well, luckily for me, you didn't get the opportunity because all the food I paid hard-earned money for went bad in the freezer after no electricity for over 36 hours, and I had to throw everything in my freezer in the trash. So... the food situation for those 2 days was no good. I'm the type of guy, and if you listen to the Trash Rats podcast that just came out, hopefully on Wednesday, which is the day we're recording this, I talk about how most of the food in my house needs to be like heated up in a microwave or in the oven because it's like frozen shit mostly. I don't really have a lot of other types of food. I mean, are there a lot of foods that don't need to be cooked? I don't know. I don't have them. So without electricity, I was just out of luck. And all the local restaurants and grocery stores were also out of electricity, so they didn't have food either. So I'm basically starving to death. My cats get to eat like kings because they have nothing but canned food. And so yeah, I ended up driving to my parents because they had power, and I just ate their fucking food for a day.
Sounds like you need to buy more spicy pickle chips. Then you would have survived off those.
I did eat half a bag of family-sized Cheetos.
There you go.
And
you're starting to live the BIGS life.
And since it's a hot Iowa summer, it was, it's super hot out and I have no AC working. So I spent a large portion of my day, like 3 or 4 p.m. The sun is still out and shining all hot. I went and sat in my car with the AC on, and I brought out that bottle of vodka I have, and I was just taking straight shots of vodka in my car at 3 p.m. on a fucking Monday. I think I'm looking into my future if I end up working retail.
Oh, man.
Like, lunch break time to go take shots in the car.
I actually, when I worked retail, there was a guy that worked with me who would get just plastered on the job.
Good.
Until one time he went out to the parking lot and was flirting with a woman and then literally just face planted on the concrete and passed out. He got fired.
The best day I ever had working in retail was, and we've talked about this a million times, was when I accidentally ate too many pop brownies at Biggs's trailer the night before and I went to work the next day still high. That was a pretty good day. The best day in retail I had. My managers knew I was high and they didn't fire me. They just fucking laughed at me and gave me a little task to do that they knew I wouldn't be able to fucking do. And they just sat there fucking laughing at me all day.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, that's how you know you have a good boss, is when you can come in high as fuck and he'll just laugh instead of reprimand you like some dickhead.
Yeah.
Isn't it nice when people who get paid $14 an hour don't take their job super seriously?
Especially when they're working at that kind of store.
Yeah, when you're working at fucking a Menards, I'm the manager of the carpet department, folks. Better be a hard ass. I finally have some power in my life. No. I'm sure every other manager was like that. My guy was cool, baby. That's why I actually enjoyed going to work sometimes. Isn't that crazy, Biggs? If you ever become a manager again, maybe, just maybe, if you treat your employees more, with respect and have fun with them, maybe it won't be a miserable environment. Who could ever have guessed?
But when I was a manager, the people who worked under me did like me because I was pretty lenient.
Well, there you go. That's exactly what I'm fucking saying.
Okay, I only ever had one person yell at me while I was being manager. It was because I shut down 10 minutes early. And they were pissed at me for shutting down early.
You shouldn't have done that, Biggs. That's not responsible.
They're like, well, the thing is, we hadn't had a single customer in 2 hours. And it was the end of the day. I'm like, okay, 10 minutes early, who cares?
If homeboy wants a piece of lukewarm fried chicken at 9:55 p.m.,
so
folks.
I'm shutting down, and this girl is legit crying. She is sobbing. I'm like, what is your problem? You can go home early. She's like, it's just not right. We're not supposed to close early, Biggs. And I'm like, what is your deal? Literally go sit in the back room for an extra 10 minutes and do nothing for 10 minutes.
You should have told her to report it to her direct manager.
Which
would have been you.
She reported it to the store manager, and he said, hey, bud, just don't do that again. And I'm like, all right.
And then you fired that bitch for tattling on you?
Oh, man, I should have.
How old was she? Was she hot? Was she single? What's her phone number? Let's get some details.
When I worked there, literally all of the part-timers that worked for us were high schoolers. So, if you want...
Well, that was years ago, so she'd probably be at least 20 by now.
True.
Yeah.
But our Mumkey man is taken.
Taken, not stirred. Biggs, you want to talk about the Wheel of Cursed Meals 2 that we filmed a few days ago? We're not going to spoil anything, but we can tease it a little bit. The video will be out by the end of August, so you'll see it pretty soon. I'll say one thing. I was putting the footage into the video editor just to see how long it was, and we got a little over an hour of footage that hopefully I'll cut down to like fucking 30 minutes, because there's just a whole lot of just nothing in there.
I will...
But no, I gotta say, from looking at the footage, as the video goes on, my hair that day gets more and more out of fucking control.
Oh, yeah.
I'm surprised you didn't say anything, because when I saw like how my hair looked at the end of the day, I was flabbergasted. It looked longer than it is right now, and we filmed that a week ago. It was bizarre. It was crazy. It's like its own anime character, dude.
Why
what
would I
happened?
tell you to fix your hair?
No, it didn't need to be fixed. It had a mind of its own. Even if I tried to fix it, there's nothing that could have been done. My hair went bonkers that day. Absolutely fucking bonkers.
It was probably out of like disgust for everything entering your body, so it was just like forcing itself out of your head to get away from it.
As people will see, I spent the first 3 full rounds of the game sweating, crying, and vomiting uncontrollably. So I imagine just my entire body just gave up.
Would you say it was the worst day of your life?
No. I would say, well, I don't know. No, it's not the worst day of my life by far. I'm trying to think if it was as difficult for me as the first wheel, because we had wheel 2. Pretty much every single thing on it is more difficult than wheel 1.
Oh, it was like 10 times worse than the first wheel, easily.
But I'm trying to wonder, because wheel 1 was not super fucking easy, so I don't know which one was harder for me.
I think wheel 1 was more manageable. Like the meals on there, like the raw pasta and stuff like that. It was... Okay, it wasn't easy to eat, but it was easier to eat than the stuff that's on right now. That was just more time consuming.
Yeah, Wheel 2 had things that were downright dangerous. Potentially long-term hazardous to your health and potentially lethal even. And also things that are just downright disgusting that you wouldn't want anybody to film you doing, or even to do it at all for any reason. It was a day. I think we were both pretty happy when we were done, especially because BIGS made a great discovery right around the time we finished filming it. You talked about on your trip to Colorado, you went to some restaurant that you love, and lo and behold, BIGS, what did you discover? Oh boy.
So, for whatever reason, I was told that my favorite restaurant in Nebraska called Freddy's, I was told it was a Nebraskan restaurant. So
now, who's the fucking dipshit who said it's only in Nebraska?
So I'm like, all right, it's only here, so I'm not even gonna bother looking anywhere else, like an idiot. So
yeah, that's pretty low IQ.
After we're done with the wheel, I'm like, all right, I want food that's not anything that I just consumed right now. And so I'm googling like fast food, and I'm scrolling, and usually I stop on like the first 10, and we'll go somewhere that we usually go. But this time I click like next page, and I keep scrolling, and I see Freddy's pop up. I'm like, oh, I probably just have like the wrong address, or my location's not on. Or
you
something.
Still had your proxy on from when you were trolling that old man pretending to be a woman.
Yeah. So no, I refresh the page, I click on it, and it shows the address being in Ames. I'm like, bro, there's a Freddy's in Ames.
There's a Freddy's like less than 2 miles from your house, Mumkey. Wait, why haven't we gone there yet today?
That's true.
Is that what we're gonna do after the? No, I guess we just ate that entire rotisserie chicken. Maybe for dinner we'll go get some Freddy's.
So then I was like, all right, let's see where else they are in Iowa, and there's like 6 in Iowa total, and I'm like, I am a retard.
Yeah, that's one of those things you probably should have just Googled regardless.
Yeah.
Especially since we found out that the Freddy's here in Ames has been here for 2 years, which is longer than I've been living here. So literally the entire time you've been at my house, we could have been eating Freddy's every day.
Silly me for trusting the source.
Well, I'll give my review of Freddy's if you don't mind.
Oh boy, go for it. I love Freddy's.
I got that with the double sourdough melt. Is that what it was?
Yep.
BIGS compared it to Steak and Shake. I'll say this: it's definitely better than Steak and Shake. But the sourdough melt at Culver's, I think, is much better. Have you tried it before?
I have. I actually had it last week.
The sourdough melt at Culver's?
Yes.
Why?
Because some other friends wanted to go to Culver's.
Oh, shit.
I'm personally not a huge fan of Culver's, but whenever there's a sourdough melt, I will eat it.
And you don't think it's very good? I feel like the meat at Culver's is thicker and juicier, and everything else,
I just can't
bread
get
is bread.
past the amount of butter that Culver's uses. It's like
That's what makes it good, though,
they
dude.
use like a stick of butter per slice of bread.
No, they put a thin coating of butter to make the buns harder because it's like heated.
Oh man, I don't know. Like I took a bite of that and my whole mouth filled with butter and
Oh my
I got
god,
flashbacks.
bullshit, bull fucking
I got
shit.
flashbacks and I'm like, bro, I wish I was at Freddy's right now. We didn't even try Freddy's ice cream. That's like that's half of their name.
Well, I guess you'll have to buy me some after this podcast,
Oh, can we get a straw to share? Like 2 straws?
And I'm kind of scared to go anywhere in this town because on the same day as the epic storm, it was also move-in day. Here in Ames has the biggest or the second biggest state university in all of Iowa. This is essentially a college town, most people would say, since 40,000 students move in every fall and move out at the end of spring. And I always forget, this is the second time, 2 years in a row, I'll think, oh man, the summers sure are great. I can go out and there won't be a bunch of annoying fucking teenagers and hot-headed Neanderthals, or Neanderthal if you want to pronounce it incorrectly, BIGS. But BIGS and I decided, hey, there's literally no food in Mumkey's house still because the power just came on and none of the local markets have anything yet. How about we go at 12:30 in the morning, a little past midnight, let's go get some nugs from McDonald's for old time's sake. Huge mistake, Biggs. Huge mistake. We were in line in the drive-thru for well over an hour, and every single other person in line was a newly moved in fucking college kid. And they were as loud and obnoxious as you could possibly believe. Fucking everybody, all these fucking Chads and Stacys, with half their bodies hanging out of their car windows, they're honking and waving at each other, getting out of their cars and walking up to other cars and like talking to people and shit. It was a living fucking nightmare. And it dawned on me at that moment that this is what it's like for 9 months out of the fucking year. The entire city is taken over by these absolute fucking morons who are they're moving away from mommy and daddy for the first time in their entire lives. They finally feel like adults, but they're as mature as fucking high schoolers. And they have cars, and they have mommy and daddy's fucking money, and it's just obnoxious and disgusting. It's horrible.
So while we were waiting in line, there's at least, what would you say, like 30, 40 cars in line?
Of course.
Easily. So,
and the thing is, McDonald's was the only place in the entire city that had food. If you were hungry, there's no other option. And I'm not being superfluous at all. Every single grocery store was closed. Every other restaurant is fucking closed. If you want food, you can't even go get ramen from the fucking gas station. You have to go to McDonald's. It's the only thing left.
So we pull in, and literally we're like in line maybe 20 feet from the street where we just pulled in. And we're sitting there, and out of all these cars, this one guy hops out of his car and decides, you know what? I'm going to go see if we can go inside. Because apparently he thought nobody else would have thought of this. So he jogs over to the door, and he starts yanking on the door, viciously. And then this idiot continues around the building, the whole building, trying every single door to get in.
He didn't think, oh, if I look in the window, the lights are off in the lobby and all the chairs are up on the tables, and there's also nobody in there. But maybe I'll be the only guy smart enough to try to get food inside instead of waiting in this hour-long line. That's the intelligence of the average college student, my friends.
And then on top of that, we're waiting in line, and there's this vehicle in front of me, and this guy keeps putting his head out the window and looking at me and waving and stuff. I'm like, what is this guy doing? So he jumps out, he runs back, he's like, yo, bruh, is there room to back up, juice boy? What's up, bud? Is there room to back up? I'm like, yeah, you can back up. There's plenty of room. And
this guy, it was obvious to me that he's 19 and he was high as fuck. And judging by all of his behavior, he was definitely just buzzed out of his mind driving around trying to get McDonald's.
So I back up, and this guy clearly needs 100 feet in between him and the guy in front of him to pull out because he had so much room. So I keep backing up until people behind me are backing up into the street. And finally he gets out and he drives up about 10 cars and then cuts in line.
Yeah, he cuts somebody else and gets in line. And then 2 minutes later changes his mind, pulls out, and then drives in circles around the McDonald's, even going past the ordering thing and going right up to the fucking window like he's going to be able to order it from the window where you pay. These are the college students I have to live near, Biggs. They're conceited, narcissistic fucking retards who are driving around high as fuck. Why do I live here? I suddenly, it's so great in the summer when these retards go back to mommy and daddy's house. But as soon as they feel I'm finally free and independent, time to act like the biggest fucking jackass possible and make it inconvenient to live here for every single other human being.
It really makes you think back to that Juice Boy video about college students, and he is so correct about the stupidity levels.
Not that any of you would be able to know, because the video has been wiped from the internet by Juice Boy himself. But I still have a copy, and me and Biggs were inspired by our McDonald's adventures, and we watched it last night, and it got me thinking, Biggs, why don't we just upload the video? If we just upload the video and we leave it up for a few hours before Juice Boy can send us a copy strike on it, that would give the viewers at home plenty of time to not only watch it, but they could download it for themselves and perhaps mass re-upload it on hundreds of channels, because I think this is such an educational, important video for all prospective college students. It's a PSA that needs to be out there, whether Juice Boy likes it or not. I don't care what he has to say about his own work. I think it's one of the most educational and, frankly, hilarious videos ever posted on YouTube.com. And I think it's a crime that he's trying to hide it because he's ashamed of being a fucking pervert who's filming people underneath bathroom stalls. But, that's his prerogative, I guess.
Yeah, and I think he forgot, the number one rule of the internet is once it's out there, it never goes away.
True.
You're not going to fully erase it from the internet, you idiot. If you put it up, it's out there forever.
And it's not even something that should be removed. It was the best video on his channel, which if you go look at the Political Juice channel now, he has deleted all of his good videos, and all that remain are just complete wankery. He has gone so far up his own ass of thinking that he's such an enlightened individual who is so much more virtuous than everybody. And everything he posts now is just, I'm more virtuous than you. Be more like me. Follow the teachings of Jesus Christ. The pursuit of happiness is really the pursuit of being a good Christian. These are the videos he's making now. When he used to make 3-hour documentaries about how shitty it is being a college freshman surrounded by these complete fucking idiots. I think he's lost his way in the saddest way possible. But we've talked about that a million times. I'm just wondering, would you, the fans at home, be interested in us posting the college video either on this channel or on just some dummy account so that everybody can check it out for themselves? And what's Juice Boy gonna fucking do about it?
Yeah, because for me, when I watched it originally, I had always been thinking about going back to college, and getting a degree in some kind of computer work. But now that I'm back in college, I'm so grateful that I chose online classes versus like on campus. Because if I had to deal with that every day,
if you were paying 20 grand a semester to deal with that every day,
I would hate my life more than I do right now.
It's the most miserable feeling in the world. That's why the freshman year of college for me, when I lived in the dorms and had a very similar experience with everybody there, is not there to get a higher education. They're there to party, and good for them. You waste your fucking parents' money all you want. But when you're like impeding on me being able to sleep in the middle of the night because you're so fucking loud and banging on the hallway doors and shit, just fuck you. You are degenerates, and you're wasting tens of thousands of dollars to be degenerates. Get fucked. Get absolutely fucked.
And it's funny because, like, you kind of want to be mad that they're wasting money, but then you remember they're wasting their parents' money, and their parents are the ones that raised them to be these idiots.
And also, these idiots will be in extreme fucking poverty and debt from their student loans for decades to come. And I get the last laugh because I have $0 owned. The day I graduated, I had no money I owed to anybody for my college education. I fucking won, and these retards who tried to ruin it for me are going to be in extreme poverty for fucking decades. It makes me so happy to see other people suffer and for me to succeed over them. Especially when it's these dirtbags.
Yeah. And sadly, it's not like what he made in his video is only at his college. You just know it's universal across all campuses.
Absolutely. It is.
It's got to be the same because the same dirtbag mentality is everywhere.
All right, Biggs, you want to hear the final chapter of the Neighbors saga?
Oh boy, do I.
You ready for this? What is your prediction? And I would like everybody to get predictions. If I'm saying this is the final chapter, you know, how could the story continue from where it was? If I need to give a short recap to everybody, I became friends with my 68-year-old incel neighbor who confessed to me he's been a lifelong virgin who never had any luck with women. And he told me he has a long-distance GF who he talks on the phone to every day, who's in like her mid-30s. But unfortunately, she always needs money for medical bills and other such things. So this man who lives in a trailer park, mind you, with his 91-year-old mother, who is extremely poor. He's 68 and he still works a fucking dead-end job. He can't retire. He's wasting all his money, sending it to this scammer, expecting her to move up here, and then eventually he will get her father's hefty inheritance. That was his plan. I explained to him, no, this is a scam. Stop sending money, you stupid fuck. And he did not believe me. And last time we checked in, he was trying to sell his prized car to send her even more money. So, Biggs, what do you think the final chapter has in store?
The final chapter, I believe, is he sold his car, he sent her the three grand, and she cut him off. She ghosted him. That's my guess.
You think the scammer who just got $3,000 would ghost? You would keep sucking this fruit dry until there's no more juice.
Not if you sucked it so dry it doesn't exist anymore. This guy's got to be so broke after this.
Okay, here's what happened, Biggs. For some reason, his extended family from, I think, a little bit down south, a couple states south, I don't remember where, they were visiting my neighbor and his mother, and they were here for like 2 weeks. So I live at the end of a dead-end road, and all of the fucking street was just covered in cars, and it was very hard to back out of my driveway because there's just so many people over. And the whole time I'm thinking, man, I keep seeing like his brother-in-law. None of these people are like his relation, like by marriage or whatever. It's like his sister and her family, and you know, husband and kids and stuff. So there's like a bunch of grandkids who are like fucking 8 years old, running around, hanging out with their great grandmother, probably giving her COVID and shit. And I'm thinking, could this be my opportunity to save this man? Here's his family. Surely his family cares about him. What if one of these times that I saw his stepbrother or brother-in-law or whatever sitting on the porch across the street, what if I went over and said, hey, you might want to look out for 68-year-old incel neighbor. He's been telling me about this woman who is scamming him, and he doesn't believe me. Maybe you, as the family, could talk to him about it. Because, of course, he's not going to listen to me, but maybe he'll listen to you. But then I thought, wait a second. That's a horrible idea. Why would I get myself even more involved? He already didn't believe me. If I go tell his family about it, if they bring it up to him, there's a 100% chance he's gonna know it came from me. He already wasn't happy with me for telling him it was a lie. Now if he finds out because if he still thinks it's true and he finds out I'm saying what he assumes are lies to his own family, he's just gonna be even more pissed at me. And frankly, with the way this year has been going for me with all the bad luck and horrible things, I don't know if I need to take responsibility for anybody other than myself at this point. You know what? Live and let live. If he wants to be scammed, I don't need to be involved anymore. Is that a fair way to put it, Biggs, or would you have went and told the family?
I just think I wouldn't have gotten involved from the beginning.
Well, okay, so I'm a better person than you.
Yeah,
That's all I wanted to know.
Like, as soon as you told him and he said, no, I don't believe you, then I would have been like, all right, bye.
That's how I felt. And I was very angry, and that's why I did not tell his family. But Biggs, big storm rolls in, fucks up the tree in my backyard. Everybody's power is out. I'm outside cleaning up all the debris from my yard. And who comes, coming down the street to talk to me but old man incel with his button-down shirt, not buttoned so I can see the entirety of his fat, hairy, wet torso. Which I can't really blame him because it's very hot outside. But Biggs, he comes up to me. What do you think he said?
I'm guessing he said, man, you might be right.
He said, you were right about that woman. And I said, oh, really? Why did you say that? And he says, so I couldn't get my car sold. Nobody wanted to buy it. So I borrowed the $3,000 from my 91-year-old mother, and I sent it to that woman. And my mother, she's very upset with me over this. She said she's never helping me with finances again, and that she's never going to give me money again, and I owe her all the money back. And as you probably saw, I had a lot of family in town. And the other day, they sat me down for an intervention. This motherfucker's family gave him an intervention about this shit. I wish they would have invited me. That would have been fabulous. But they gave him an intervention and they said to him, Mr. Incel, who in this world do you think loves you the most? And he says, oh, well, I guess it would be my family. And they said to him, well, then why are you taking your family's money and sending it to some girl? If you love us more than you love her, then you have to stop sending her money. And that was the breakthrough. And the sad thing is, he still, from what he told me, he still believes she might come up and he still might get that inheritance, so he's not that smart. But he realized it was wrong of him to be sending her all that money. And now, due to the pressure of his family and his angry 91-year-old mother, who just loaned him $3,000 that he owes back to her and has no way to pay back, I think he wants to sell his car so he can pay his mom back now. But thanks to all of that, he is actually going to stop sending her money. I think this counts as a happy ending.
Is he going to stop talking to her, though?
No, he's still talking to her. But now that the flow of money is stopped, I think the ghosting that you talked about might be happening. Because as soon as the mark doesn't give you money, why would you waste any more time talking to him?
Exactly, that's what I was saying. So now it's going to be the ending basically that I said, except he didn't sell his car. It's even worse. He got it from his mother.
Yeah, I know.
It's even worse than I imagined.
But in your version, she ghosted because of getting the money. But in reality, she's gonna ghost because there's no more money coming.
Well, yeah.
So really, you're wrong, and you should commit suicide.
What I'm saying is she's going to get the money and realize he's got literally nothing left, because in her mind, he had to borrow it from his mom. Like, his mom's not going to give him more.
His mom's 91. How would she even... Oh, he was also telling me about how he hates Trump because Trump just signed the executive order to cut off Social Security. So he is doubly fucked. There goes half of his income.
Well, I think they kind of went back on that, though, didn't they?
I don't know. I'm just telling you what my neighbor told me 2 days ago.
But I think they're, like, re-looking at that or something. I don't know. They're trying to give, like, the middle class a tax break permanently, but I don't think that's ever going to work. So...
Yeah. He told me a few weeks ago or months ago that he hates politics, but as soon as his old man free money was in jeopardy, oh, now he fucking hates Trump, folks. And it's almost like these old fucking boomers only care about things that directly impact their lives. It's almost like all the anti-mask retards, as soon as they or anybody in their family gets sick, oh, suddenly, this COVID shit, it's not a conspiracy anymore, guys. Everybody should wear a mask. Yeah, no shit, I wonder why you think that, because it fucking impacted you, you dumb old bitch. Many such cases, Biggs, many such cases. I was watching a YouTuber who's like just this guy in his 40s, and he would make like food or like fast food reviews with his daughter. And he's like, oh yeah, man, we don't wear masks down here in Texas. We're too good for that. Then he posts an update. Yeah, today's episode is just gonna be me because my daughter got COVID, and he has a fucking mask on. Yeah, no shit, you old retard. You old fucking dipshit. Of course you didn't believe it till it hit your fucking family.
He's wearing a mask alone on camera?
Yes. Well, because he's out and about getting fast food in the videos.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. He was like waiting in a
pizza
pizza
like
parlor.
in his backyard or something with a mask on. Like,
they film these videos in his truck. But now his daughter, now that she's like going back to school, she's too embarrassed because the classmates found the videos. So now he's like double depressed because his daughter doesn't want to do videos anymore.
Oh no.
It's really fucking sad. And do you know who I'm talking about?
Yeah. I just didn't know if you wanted to name
No,
names.
we don't need to name names.
Yeah.
But now that you know who it is, it's even more sad.
Yeah.
It's a man that both Biggs and I hold a lot of respect for and we look up to. And I'm glad he came around on the whole COVID thing. Yeah. Well, should we move on to the final segment, which is the super extended Is It Kino? And I think the title of this video was going to be the most embarrassing movie ever made. But I think we have to build up to that a little bit. Should we start from the beginning?
Sure.
Biggs went on a trip to Colorado a couple weeks ago, and he says, hey, while I was in Colorado, I visited the Shining Hotel, which it turns out, false advertising. The hotel he was talking about was not in the movie.
Well, it's not. Okay, so it's the Stanley Hotel, and it's the hotel that, oh God, what's his name?
Stephen King. He used to be the
King.
4th District Congressman of fucking Iowa. You should know his name, Biggs.
It's where he stayed and got, oh my God. Inspiration for the book that he wrote, The Shining, and then it was also used in the TV miniseries in like the early 2000s.
Yeah.
So that's what the Stanley Hotel came from. It wasn't the hotel from the movie, but it was the one that inspired the hotel.
Right. So Biggs tells me, hey, I saw this hotel. We should check out The Shining movie, and I'll see if the same hotel is in it. And I thought, well, fuck. You know, I consider myself a bit of a movie buff, but I have a lot of blind spots, especially movies that came out like before the 1990s, really. An awful lot of blind spots for somebody who takes movies seriously. And The Shining, even though from pop culture and even fucking Family Guy and shit, I pretty much knew the entire story without even seeing the movie. It's kind of like Star Wars, where everybody knows what it is, even if you've never seen it. But
I thought, what's the story of Star Wars?
Luke, I am your father. I'm pretty sure fucking like kids in Afghanistan who like get bombed by Obama drones and know that, and they probably have never even seen electricity before.
Well, it was actually a bunch of trade deals gone wrong, and then Federation. Okay, yeah. So, anyways, about The Shining.
So I said, hey, I've never seen Stanley Kubrick's The Shining. How about we watch it together, Biggs? So we sat down and watched it, and I guess Is It Kino review number 1, Mumkey and Biggs review the classic horror film The Shining. Biggs, what did you think of The Shining, rated R?
So I haven't seen The Shining. Well, I saw
Actually,
it recently.
we just saw it last week,
I was
so I don't
gonna
know.
say I hadn't seen The Shining in probably 10 years or something like that. So when I watched it again, I obviously, understood a lot more than I did when I was, 15 or something.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought it was
Overhyped?
okay. Yeah, it's very overhyped. Like, I love horror movies. I think of them as comedies, though, because obviously I don't find them horrific at all.
Same.
So for a horror movie, I felt like it was way too overhyped.
I would say it's probably more of a psychological thriller than horror.
Yeah. And
But I think they classify it as horror.
I think what saved it for me was Jack Nicholson. Like, if he was not in the movie, if he was replaced by anyone else, the movie would be horrible. But with him being in it, I think it saved it for me, and I actually liked it a lot.
Yeah, my main point to make was it was the ultimate Jack Nicholson vehicle. I haven't seen a whole lot of Jack Nicholson films. I like him in The Departed, but maybe that's a movie from 2006, and it's like him at the end of his career. But to see him in his prime giving what I have to assume is one of his top 2 performances ever. I haven't seen One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest yet. But
You got it. That one's good too.
But as a movie about this one particular performance and a man who goes completely crazy and tries to axe up his wife and child, all of that stuff is 10 out of 10. Anytime Jack Nicholson is on screen, whether he's throwing a ball against a wall, or he's typing on his old typewriter, or he's sitting at a bar that's empty and he's hallucinating a barkeep there and all these people, every single shot that includes Jack Nicholson is a 10 out of 10. The rest of the movie, they say Stanley Kubrick is like the master of tension. And maybe it's just because I already knew everything that was going to happen, but getting 4-minute long shots of, what's the name of the son? Danny?
Yeah.
4-minute long shots of Danny riding his trike through hallways.
It's annoying with that stupid whirring of the wheels on the wood floor.
Yeah,
I hated it.
And it didn't have any tension because I already know he's going to turn the corner and see these 2 spooky twins, because I've seen this in every piece of pop culture ever made. And I think even if I didn't know that was coming, maybe audiences back in the day were a little more easily spooked, but it's not really, the imagery was not that frightening to me.
Yeah, like
even when they did like the 1-second jump scare of like the twins like all axed up in the hallway and there's blood everywhere, even that wasn't that fucking scary.
Yeah, and like they made a huge deal out of the blood spewing out of the elevator and like filling the whole hallway.
Why is that such a classic shot?
And it's like,
it's pointless.
They show it like 4 times in the movie. And it's like, is this supposed to scare me? It's not even unsettling. It's just like, all right, next scene, please.
Yeah. Oh man, it must have been fun cleaning that mess up. Got a fucking
100
gallons of water with food coloring, and you spill it all over a fucking set. Good job.
Yeah, and they had to use the same scene 4 times because they're like, well, we're not cleaning that up again.
Yeah. The movie is probably too long. I don't know why.
Oh, it's definitely too long.
I don't know why we're trying to criticize a classic that everybody loves and adores in like a Stanley Kubrick movie, but if I'm gonna just give my honest opinion about it, it was too long, and any scene that didn't have Jack Nicholson I could have done without. I know Stanley Kubrick liked to do the same shot maybe 200 times so that he could really make the actor do it the way he sees it in his head. And the fact that they were dealing with a child actor for Danny, I imagine, was very stressful for everybody involved. Because if they're doing 100 shots of every take, they must have not gotten a whole lot of good shots of Danny. Because some of his, he's a kid, he's not going to be a great actor, but some of his delivery and some of his scenes, they weren't amazing. I'll say
they were very child actor. Like they should have been, I guess.
To speak of Star Wars, I don't know if it's as bad as Anakin in Episode 1, but it's not good. The best scene with Danny is when he walks in and he thinks Jack Nicholson is taking a nap, but Jack Nicholson is sitting on the bed staring at the wall. And then Jack says, "Hey, Danny boy, come over here." Oh, and he has him sitting on his leg, and he's like, "Oh, I love you, son." And he's like sniffing his hair and holding him close, and it's super fucking creepy and scary. That's when I was frightened. All this stuff with, oh, there's 1,000,000 gallons of blood. Oh, there's scary twins. None of that is scary.
No.
The movie is genuinely terrifying when Jack Nicholson is fucking just talking to his family, dude. That shit is true horror.
I should also add in, anytime Jack Nicholson started verbally abusing his wife, Mumkey would just start hollering with laughter and screeching.
It was fucking funny.
When he's like telling her to not come in the lobby when he's typing, and he just screams at her to get out. He's just laughing hysterically.
Yeah, well, like you said, the way we treat horror movies is as comedies, but like when he's hugging his son on the bed, and we know that he's
like Joe Biden sniffing him.
Yeah, and the son's like, "You're not gonna hurt me and Mom, are you?" And he's like, "What? No, I would never." Oh my, dude. I don't know. Did that movie win Oscars? If Jack Nicholson didn't win Best Actor, and I don't even know what else came out that year. But if he didn't win that is a complete farce. That's one of my favorite performances I've ever seen in a movie. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So what would you say? The Shining, we'd give it a final score of Jack Nicholson out of 10.
Yeah. For me, he definitely saved it, because I couldn't stand the other two actors. And
well, I this might be rude, but the entire time, throughout the entire movie, I was saying to Biggs, is Shelley Duvall the ugliest actress ever put on screen?
Well, you can't say actress. She's an actor. Don't be sexist. They're all actors now.
Well, back in the day, I guess she
Nope,
would've been.
she's an actor.
I'm sure Shelley Duvall is a lovely woman, but I don't know what inspired her to go into acting. Maybe like radio plays would have been fine. Maybe she could have had a podcast, but I don't. Maybe they put her on screen because it was a horror film. I don't know. I couldn't believe that she chose this career path. Nothing against her. I just did not find her very attractive. Maybe other people think she's hot as fuck.
Well, maybe that was the point of the film. They didn't want to make it too sexy or anything. They wanted it to be like rigid and gross and like horrifying, quote unquote, the whole time. They didn't want the audience to be like offset by, oh man, this chick is hot.
Well, the true horror is that the parents both have like black hair and the son has blonde hair. What were they thinking?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, we both enjoyed The Shining, and we thought, hey, how about we watch the SCU, The Shining Cinematic Universe? Because it turns out, Biggs, they produced a sequel to The Shining just last year, in the year 2019.
I had no idea either.
In the year 2019, who stars in it? Fucking the guy from Star Wars. What's his name? Ewan McGregor?
Yeah.
Ewan McGregor plays older Danny, the son. He's all grown up now. This movie came out in 2019, just in time for us to binge the whole series of films, Biggs.
Yeah, it took a whole long time.
And let me just say, if you're wondering, what does the title of this episode refer to? What is the most embarrassing movie ever made? In my honest, humble opinion, folks, Dr. Sleep 2019 is the most embarrassing movie I've ever seen.
It's so bad.
In my entire fucking life.
Every scene we cringed. Every scene.
As a sequel, and even if it stays true to the books, and Stephen King hated The Shining movie, and now I guess this movie sequel is more true to the books, I'm guessing Stephen King is just wrong and shitty in general, because the Shining movie is great and Dr. Sleep is abhorrent. It felt like it was trying to appeal to like the YA crowd, you know, the kids who like the Twilights and the not Harry Potter, but like all the shit that came out after that tried to jump on the Harry Potter train.
Movies that take themselves way too seriously when they are hot garbage.
Yeah, and it's always like, oh, we're teenagers and we have superpowers and we're special and we get sorted into different groups based on our personality, folks. But the plot of Dr. Sleep is that they want to explore the lore of what The Shining is, because Danny in the original movie, he has this psychic connection with other people, and they call it the Shine, and that's how this old black guy who he meets at the hotel is able to know that some hardcore shit is going down, because he has this sort of psychic connection, and they can sort of see things in the future and stuff like that. Well, they decided to make a whole movie about The Shining being a superpower, and all these superpowered people are using The Shining to eat other people's souls or some stupid shit.
No, they're eating their shine.
So fucking dumb. The worst part is the main bad guy is this bitch who's wearing a fucking fedora or what is it, a top hat or some shit.
It's a top. They basically.
Oh, it's so embarrassing.
They took the Mad Hatter from Alice in Wonderland and tried to make it into this creepy, scary, leader of this syndicate that's stealing people's shine, and it came off horribly.
Everything about it came off. Every piece of dialogue any of those characters had was complete fucking cringe. And the sad thing is, you're trying to make a movie that appeals to the YA teeny bopper. Oh, it's a movie about people with special powers, and the 12-year-old black teenage girl has to come save the day, folks. It's one of those fucking movies. But it's a sequel to The Shining, and it's rated R. The audience you're appealing to can't even see the fucking movie, folks. I'll say this. It could have been good. I liked some of the stuff about Danny being an alcoholic who's doing coke with hookers and stealing money from them, even though they have 2-year-old children and shit. I liked all of that. I liked the idea of a movie about a guy who, when he was a kid, his dad went crazy and tried to kill him and his mom, and now he's a broken adult and he's trying to deal with that. That's a great movie idea. Why is Dr. Sleep about superpowers? Why is it about trying to save the world from these people who are eating other people's superpowers? Why is there a cringy bitch in a top hat who's talking to a 14-year-old, and she has the power to make anybody be honest? So she makes the 14-year-old be honest, and the 14-year-old says, "You're the most beautiful woman I've ever seen." And it's this bitch is a 6 out of 10 at best, dude. What in the fuck am I watching? Oh my god.
It's so creepy too. Oh man. Out of all things for her to tell the truth on, why is that what she says?
Suffice to say, we did not finish the film.
No, we didn't even get halfway, I don't think.
No, it's very rare that I will give up on a movie completely. And
this is the second time I've personally seen you do it. The first time was on Birds of Prey.
Oh, yeah. The last movie we saw in theaters before the shutdown was Birds of Prey, and we both agreed halfway through, let's just go home.
It was in 30 minutes. How long is the movie?
Probably 2 hours.
Yeah, we left in 30 minutes. It was 30 minutes. And we're out. We're out of here.
Yeah, so I guess twice in the same year now I've given up on watching a shitty movie. Dr. Sleep, literally unwatchable. We were in so much physical and emotional pain, trauma from watching a film that we had to turn it off. And I think I'm speaking too soon, because the third movie we're going to review, we also turned off 30 minutes in.
Oh no.
So we gave up on Dr. Sleep. It's complete shit. It should have just been about Danny. All the superpower stuff was cringe and unnecessary. But then I thought, hey, there's one other Shining-based movie out there. A documentary that came out about 10 years ago called Room 237. And it's supposed to be a documentary about the deeper meaning behind the film The Shining. So Biggs and I pop it on, and Biggs, what did you think of the movie?
At first I had no idea what it was. I had looked over and I saw his phone sitting on the couch. And I just saw the carpet from The Shining. So I thought maybe he was trolling me and he was turning on The Shining again. And I was like, all right, whatever.
Yeah, we'll watch The Shining again. Cool.
And then, didn't it even have the same intro? It showed the flying over the lake, but then it turns into the stupid interview things.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, what is this? And we're watching it. And these people are digging so deep into this movie. You know they're just full of crap. They're just full of it. Full of themselves, the movie, and everything. And I hated it. I was like, why are we watching this?
It's a movie that is just showing footage from The Shining, and they're interviewing 7 people who watched the movie, and each person is explaining the deeper meaning that they got from the movie. And of course, all 7 people's deeper meanings like contradict each other. So obviously, like there's no one true answer for any of it. I guess the idea is, everybody can find their own personal deeper meaning.
Yeah, it's all your own interpretation.
Which is complete bullshit in the sense of, if 7 people have 7 completely different interpretations that all contradict each other, then the fact that all of them are trying to say Stanley Kubrick included this one split frame shot where the guy is standing and it looks like it's his penis is coming out when he stands against the desk, that was intentional because
Stanley's a pervert.
Yeah, just like they're trying. If you're just gonna give your own personal meaning to the movie, then go for it. I don't need to watch a documentary of it, but go for it. But the fact that they're all trying to say Stanley Kubrick intentionally meant it for this interpretation, the one that I just happened to have watching the movie because it related to the things I already knew in my life. But no, Stanley Kubrick intended all of these things for each of us, even though all of our ideas contradict each other. And it's just embarrassing. It's people sniffing their own fucking farts, people coming up with their own fan fiction of what the movie's about, and all this bizarre shit, and trying to say, but the director agrees with me, so my interpretation is so academic and smart and right. And they have no fucking clue what they're talking about. No fucking clue. It was just cringe. And the movie, the documentary itself, reused the same shot of people in the theater watching The Shining. They would use it like 8 times in the span of 5 minutes.
That's literally what started to drive me nuts. We're watching it and it goes like from one interview and they're like, so I went and watched The Shining, and it's like the movie theater with the flying over the lake with the tiny island, presumably in Colorado, which is where they're supposed to be, in the audience watching. And then he'll go and tell his story, and 2 minutes later, the next interview. So I went to see The Shining, same shot, and I'm like, how many times are they gonna next interview, same shot, next interview, same shot? I'm like, I am going nuts. I'm gonna throw my phone through this TV if we don't turn this off.
And when I decided to turn it off, I said, hey, Biggs, just, this is horrible. Just put on fucking Donnie Darko. I don't care anymore. But Biggs, being the lazy oaf that he is, decides, no, I'm just going to sit here and do fucking nothing. So I think, okay, fine. I'll load up my TTV app. No, shut the fuck up. This is what happened, you fucking lying fat sack of shit.
I open YouTube, I go to Donnie, and it says buy. And I'm like, I already have this movie. And I realized I was on the wrong account. So I was in the middle of switching my YouTube accounts when he put it up. And I'm like, okay, this is fine.
Yeah, so I go on the TTV app. You can type in any movie or TV show ever made and watch it for free and Chromecast it to your TV. So I type in Donnie Darko, click on it, Chromecast it up. But the timer on the movie says that it's 2 hours and 15 minutes long. And Donnie Darko, as Biggs can attest because he watched it on his drive home from Colorado, is 1 hour and 45 minutes. So Biggs and I are immediately flabbergasted. What the fuck is this? Did somebody upload it with 30 minutes of black screen at the end? So we're clicking through it, and suddenly Biggs just about shits his pants. We see a scene of Donnie reading a poem in front of his classroom that Biggs has never seen before. And Biggs is like, what?
I was astonished. I about flew out of my seat. I'm like, what is this? Because this whole time, when I first bought Donnie Darko digitally to watch it over and over, I could have swore I bought the director's cut extended edition.
We thought we were watching the director's cut the entire time.
But it was not. It was the theatrical version. So when we find out that this is the real director's cut,
and there's 30 minutes of new Donnie scenes.
And so here's the thing. I look up the director's cut. You cannot buy it digitally anywhere. You have to have the hard copy.
So the only way to watch it is my illegal torrent app that I downloaded. Yes. Wow.
Except for the Blu-ray copy that's at my house that I can't watch because I don't have power.
Oh. Well, so Biggs, I guess this is your moment to shine. You are the Donnie Darko expert. You've seen it more than probably any person on earth. You've probably seen it more than the director himself. How does it compare? How does the director's extended cut compare to the original? Which do you like better? And what's your overall review? I'm very excited to hear this from you.
Okay, so there's a lot of things I like and really love about the extended director's cut, but there's also a lot I don't like, because the same thing with like the Stanley Kubrick thing where he stays on a shot for way too long is basically what they did in the director's cut of Donnie. You'll have a scene that is in the theatrical version that I've seen 100 times, except it's like almost like 30 seconds to a minute longer.
Like after the characters are done talking, the
and
camera will just hold on them sitting there.
And I'm like, what is this? And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, this isn't in the regular movie. He's like, yeah, that scene was. I was like, no, like this last 30 seconds is extra. He's like, you can tell. I'm like, yeah, of course I can tell. What is this? And then, so it all starts. We're sitting there watching it, and I'm waiting for my my normal intro music where Donnie's riding his bike through town, and they changed the song, and it was so bizarre for me watching what I loved so much being changed in such a horrific way, because throughout the whole movie they changed like the volume of the music from what the theatrical version did to where it's like they want it to be background music, but in the intro it's supposed to be like very loud and apparent because it's literally the intro of the movie. So it's like kind of quiet in the background and Donnie's just riding his bike. And it's a terrible song that does not fit the scene at all.
The song in the theatrical cut is way better, especially to establish the opening of the movie. The song that the director chose was just a dog shit song in general. Yeah. It was not enjoyable in the least.
It was awful. And why am I drawing a blank on the director's name? I can't think.
I don't fucking know who it is. He's not famous. This is like the only thing he ever made. Yeah. I think.
I can't remember his name. It's not that important, but yeah, his version overall, besides the few extra scenes that I'll talk about, it was just bad. The music changes and the volume changes. I don't know what he was doing. It just made it.
And he also changed a lot of the sound effects. When like the wormhole ghost thing comes out of Donnie, like he put like more of a cartoony weird gross effect, right?
Yeah, it's like a cartoony like synth noise. And it's like, no, in the original, it was like a watery, it made sense because it looks like water flowing out of his chest. So it's like a watery, like drippy noise almost. But they changed it and I'm like, what are they thinking? And then like throughout the movie, he throws in random shots of like an eyeball with like a bunch of like mathematical equations and like explosions and random crap on the screen. I'm like, bro, what were you thinking when you were directing this? Like, obviously, who makes the theatrical cuts? Like, who picks that? Is
somebody in the editing bay, I assume. Yeah. And, like, the producers have, I guess, the final say because they paid for the movie.
Yeah, so, like, whoever picked those were way more on par with what the movie needed. And then, so there were...
Well, it's like the director who also wrote it, he had a great idea for a movie, but he was too big for his britches, and he needed, like, professionals in the movie industry to take out the shit that was superfluous and unnecessary, and to make the choices necessary to make the movie the classic that it is today.
Richard Kelly, that's his name. I couldn't remember.
Okay.
So yeah, there's a few extra scenes, and the thing is, when I watched the original movie, you grow to love Eddie Darko, which is the dad, because he's hilarious. Like pretty much any scene he's in, he's like saying like quippy things and making the audience laugh. But
and he's not like a dickhead dad, because he understands that his son Donnie, he has mental issues and he's taking pills. So when he finds out that his son called his wife a bitch, I imagine a lot of dads would like storm into the room. What the fuck you say to your mom? You need to show some respect, you little shit. Instead, he just says to his wife, "You're not a bitch. You're bitching, but you're not a bitch." Like that's a level-headed, funny dad response.
And the most angry you ever see Eddie get is when his daughter's like, "I'm voting for Dukakis."
Yeah, like he gets mad about stupid political shit, but he's not actually mad. He's just like he's just like Republican dad.
Yeah. So So later on in the film, there's a scene where Donnie comes home and his dad's sitting outside drinking scotch, and
this is in the extended cut, right?
Yeah, in the director's cut, and oh man, I can't quite remember the conversation they were having, but he's basically just like giving his son crap.
Yeah, he's saying, you know, those other kids who don't understand you, forget about them, fuck them, you're great the way you are. And that's one of the scenes that I think should have been in the final cut of the movie.
So I was talking to Mumkey about it, and I was like, if I wanted to, I really should go through and cut out parts of the director's cut and put it into the actual movie.
So when you rewatch it every day, you can see like your own personal ultimate version of the movie.
Because like that scene should have been in the movie. Because in the theatrical version, it makes Donnie seem so disconnected from his family when he's not. Because like in the movie, when he's sitting in his room in the theatrical version towards the end, and his mom's getting ready to leave to take the girls to the dance competition, he's like, how's it feel to like have a wacko for a son? And she says, it's amazing. Like that connection that they have there is so out of place because it never shows them connecting.
Yeah, all the scenes that flesh out the relationship he has with his parents were cut out by the studio.
Yeah, so I feel like if those were put in, it would take away the feeling of disconnect between him and his family because...
And you already liked Eddie Darko, his character, but now like he's more fleshed out, he's more well-rounded, and he's like an even better character now.
While I was watching that scene, I'm like, man, this just like solidifies my love for Eddie Darko. Like his character is so good. So yeah, I don't know why they cut it out because that scene I feel like is very necessary for the film.
Now, in terms of scenes that I feel like were better on the cutting room floor, there's just like a very minor subplot of like 4 scenes where Donnie tells his classmates about Frank the Rabbit, his imaginary friend, and then there's just like a few random scenes of his teacher, Drew Barrymore, like, oh, how's Frank the Rabbit doing? Hey, we're gonna read a book about rabbits. Maybe Frank will like it, Donnie.
Yeah,
like that's completely fucking unnecessary.
Yeah, so the extra scene that we jumped to when we were checking out to see what was up with this 2 hour 15-minute version, when we got to that poetry scene, that's one that he's talking about. Is Donnie's like saying a poem that he wrote, and it includes Frank and like the end of the world and all the stuff that's going on in his head. And yeah, his teacher, from even in the theatrical version, has like this weird connection with him that it never really explains. But they changed the book because Miss Farmer, the
bitchy gym teacher,
she's like, oh, they're teaching pornography in the school, so they can't read this book anymore. So Drew Barrymore's character is like, all right, I guess we'll switch to this other book, and it's about bunnies, and she gives it to Donnie, like, oh, you should read this with Frank. I bet he'd like it. Oh. And I'm like, bro, what are you talking about?
What is this adding?
Well, yeah, this adds nothing to the movie. No. It's just strange, if anything.
It's so much better without those scenes. Another addition I didn't like was that the character Grandma Death wrote a book called The Philosophy of Time Travel. And in this version, you literally see like the pages of the book.
Yeah.
And like there's like just walls of text on the screen that I guess you're supposed to pause the movie and read it. And if you do... If you actually read these written chapters of The Philosophy of Time Travel, it completely ruins the ambiguity of the film. Yeah. And it more or less tells you, like, this is the destiny and the man must do this, and then he'll send the... Like, so you're ruining the entire mystique of the fucking film, and you're just like spelling it out for me. This is the worst exposition imaginable because I literally have to read it.
I was going to ask you, do you think this is worse than Dexter? Because in Dexter, at least it's being said, so you can just listen to it. But this, you literally have to read a book.
Yeah, it's embarrassing either way. I'm so glad they cut that shit out because it happens like 20 fucking times.
Yeah. And like, I get it if you're watching it and you... like, let's say it's your first time watching it and you need help figuring out kind of what's going on, then sure, I guess you would appreciate it.
But we figured all that stuff out by rewatching the movie as it was.
So if you're like an avid watcher, or maybe you're watching for your second or third time because you liked it the first time, you don't need that. Like, that's just unnecessary.
You'll pick up on all this stuff on your own or come up with your own theory.
Yeah.
It's just like the fucking Room 237 documentary. I don't need you to explain the movie to me. half the fun of a movie is to watch it and
Yeah.
to come up with the interpretation myself.
So back when I first watched this, Mumkey's like, "Hey, have you seen this movie Donnie Darko?" And I'm like, "Oh no, I've seen it, but I thought about watching it, but I haven't seen it." He's like, "Oh man, you gotta watch it. It's good." So I watch it, and I think my favorite part was right after I saw it the first time. We sat there for probably like an hour and a half just discussing what we thought it was about.
Oh yeah.
And that's, for me, it was like the best part of figuring out what I thought it was about.
Those are the types of movies that are my favorite and that I like to recommend to people. The stuff that really afterwards you want to just sit there and talk about it with the people you watched it with.
A lot like another Jake movie, Enemy.
Yeah,
That's another movie where you can sit there for hours talking about what you think it's about.
That's one I haven't seen for 2 years, and just yesterday, me and Biggs talked about it for like 20 fucking minutes, trying to figure it out.
Oh man, yeah.
Yeah. Well, so would you say the theatrical cut is better than the director's cut?
Yes.
Even though it gives you more Donnie action.
I think. Okay, so the director's cut has the extra scene I like.
But it also has shittier song
They
choices.
have worse songs. They have extended scenes that don't need to be extended. Because I even complained in the theatrical version that there's like 2 or 3 scenes that it just wavers on Maggie Gyllenhaal's face for way too long.
Well, it's supposed to be a horror movie, so I can understand why they would do that.
So, yeah, I definitely didn't like the extended.
She's no Jake, I'll tell you that.
Scenes. So I would start to say I prefer the theatrical version just because whoever was in that editing bay knew exactly what they were doing for this film. Now, if it had the extra scenes, I would love it even more, and it would be like the apex film. But yeah.
Well, you need to make the ultimate BIGS cut and, plug in all the extra scenes that you liked, retain all the original scenes with the better music, and just fucking put that out there for the people to watch. I think it's really important.
Yeah, we can probably watch it on the Discord at one point.
Yeah, it's sad to think the ultimate version of this movie does not yet exist, and that Biggs Bigsington, of all people, has to literally cut it together himself. I wonder if anybody else has even attempted it. I doubt it, because they probably wouldn't like all the same scenes that we like.
Yeah, and the worst part is I'm going to have to find 2 versions, like one of each, that are of equal quality.
Oh, yeah.
Otherwise, if I cut in one from the other version, it could look worse or better.
Dude, I mean, so what if you're unemployed? Get the cash and just buy Blu-rays of both versions of the movie.
Oh, no, I have them at home.
Both of them? You bought the director's cut?
Yeah, after I left your house.
What? You bought it?
I can't watch it. I don't have power.
You should have brought it over. I have a PlayStation 4. You can plug that bad boy in.
That's true.
Yeah.
But I need to get a Blu-ray disc drive for my PC.
Yeah.
So I can rip it and have a copy of it.
So I guess if you're in the BIGS Discord, look forward to Donnie Darko, the BIGS cut, coming at you lickety-split, folks.
Yeah, lickety-split. As soon as my power's back on and I have some motivation to actually watch both movies in their entirety. And
like BIGS needs motivation to watch Donnie Darko, folks. I don't think so.
Yeah, but with the intention of going through and cutting it up, that just makes me sad, knowing I have to cut up Donnie.
But you're making the ultimate version, and now every time you watch it, it'll take you 2 hours instead of 145.
It's still the principle of destroying something you love to make something better.
You're not destroying shit. You're copying and pasting shit together.
It's destruction of a masterpiece.
Well, doesn't Donnie say in the movie, like, destruction is just creation or some stupid bullshit?
That's kind of what I was hinting at.
Okay. Biggs, we covered all these, these hard-hitting topics one by one. I think we accomplished probably the longest episode of the podcast yet. Looks like we're going on super long. We did it.
We did it. Hooray.
Harambe. Do you have any other thoughts for this episode, or should we wrap it up?
While you're waiting for me to get this BIGS cut out, I definitely think you should go watch the director's cut. I'm sure you can find it bootleg somewhere.
You can find it on the app TTV. If you have any phone that's not an Apple product, you can just download this shit for free.
So I would encourage you to watch it because the extra scenes really make you adore Eddie Darko, and I think his character deserves it.
All right, well, for this action-packed, super star-studded episode of the Mumkey and Big Show, I have been Mumkey Jones.
And I have been Biggs Oh So Fat.
And tune in next time. Maybe we'll record some more episodes of Pokemon, even though people begged us to do more, and then when we post another episode, it gets like the lowest views of any video on the channel.
Yeah, and so I was not to go on too long. But...
No, we need a PSS on this podcast. Go for it.
So the guy that we named Big Jack after, Jack, messaged me on Snapchat. He's like all excited, like, yeah, man, I beat the gym for you guys.
His ice punch is legendary.
And I'm like, yeah, and also I hate you because now we have to keep playing the game, so in the end you screw us.
Given that it has record low views, maybe we don't need to continue because it sounds like the audience doesn't really care.
Because he messaged me about it, and I was like, bro, you don't even lift. And like, it was this whole thing. But I was like, I hate you because now we have to keep playing that game.
Okay, bye everybody. See you next time.